Crime really a big issue for us in the province. As you said, these really high, predominantly gang-related murders, but our murder rate unbelievably high. Last year, 3,700 murders in our province, and it is a big issue.
Massive joint operation between the SANDF and the police is expected to get underway to combat gangsterism.
The topic that we chose to do coverage on was the SANDF and the deployment within that coverage from print physical newspapers, and I took 2 articles, one from the People's Post and one from the Plainsman. The articles are not that much different from each other because they both speak on when the army will be deployed, how long they will be deployed, and what exactly they're going to be doing within the communities of the Cape Flats. But the People's Post article, the Plainsman's article, focuses more on how the residents feel about the army's deployment. A lot of them are optimistic, some feel that it's too late because so much lives have been lost already. A lot of people are questioning what is going to happen when the army does leave. Will crime just resume again? And a lot of the residents, based on interaction with people who one of the group members know, said that they are so used to seeing people in uniform because of police raids, because of the violence that happens within the communities, that it feels so normal that the army is patrolling around. So what I got from the newspaper coverage, it focuses more on the people and the residents and how they feel on what's going on, and a lot of them are questioning what is going to happen next.
I covered online articles. I went to sites like News24 and IOL. I found that on these sites, the articles discussed more personal issues regarding how the communities and the residents of those affected communities felt about the SANDF's deployment and what were their thoughts on how successful the operation was. A lot of these articles discussed the gangs and the fears that the people have. Another news site, online news site like the Daily Maverick, discussed more stats. They didn't really give the opinions of the people. They just gave coverage on the cases involved in this operation.
Media coverage, I specifically focused on the SABC and their angles, their main aspects that they focused on, and how they brought about their media coverage project. So, since the dispatch of the SANDF, they first started off by giving a good background as to what led to the dispatch, and they made a good coverage of how much money was used. So they gave a financial context and they gave social context, because they highlighted the specific social injustices that they believed led to the havoc in the Cape Flats. They also discussed at large, because they had a lot of analysts and specialists to come and speak about ways in which the SANDF would be effective or non-effective. So it was unbiased in the way that there was different perspectives, and the views were controversial as well. So they discussed that the relocation of the police resources would have been a lot more advantageous if it was done before. So the SANDF wouldn't be dispatched if proper SAPS resources were allocated to poorer areas where crime rates were higher at the time. Instead, they waited for the total increase in the number of deaths and murders and rapes in the past year in order for them to put in the SANDF. Also, they emphasized that another thing that was very prominent in the dispatch of the army was the lack of faith that the citizens have had in the SAPS, because they believe that police are not only incompetent, but that they're also corrupt and involved in a lot of cases that involve gangs. as we know, gangs have
His budget speech in Parliament last night, Police Minister Becky Cele announced President Cyril Ramaphosa had approved the deployment of the SANDF. Now, over the years, there have been several calls for the Defence Force to be sent to gang-prone areas. Joining us from our studios in Cape Town is Villers. He's the head of policy and research for the Social Justice Coalition. Thanks so much. Good to have you with us here on Morning Live.
Thank you. Good morning, Leanne.
So let's start with the latest news now. The Army and the police working together to take on the Cape Flats. I mean, what was your reaction to this announcement?
Well, Leanne, the Social Justice Coalition has never actually supported the call for the deployment of a military force in civilian areas. We've always maintained that the way in which police resources are allocated is the best way to address crime-ridden areas. And so in December last year, the Equality Court, for instance, found that the way in which the South African Police Service deploys its human resources discriminates on the basis of race and poverty, and in particular discriminates against poor black African communities. And these are the communities that are carrying that extreme burden of violent crime. And so before the deployments of the military
discussed with Danny Fayes from Social Injustice Commission the effects, long-term and short-term, of gang violence and how so many years on the dispatch of the SANDF would be ineffective. And
maybe they don't realize how severe the situation is in the Cape Flats. I mean, Cape Town was voted the 11th most notorious city in the world with regards to our crime rate and our murder rate. So more coverage needs to be drawn as on what is going on between the gangsters, what other training the army can undergo to actually change our statistics as a whole, as the whole of Cape Town.
Because I feel like you guys spoke about the coverage, I do feel like the radio should have maybe done more, because since that is like the main...
So what I'm trying to say is the radio as a medium is the biggest form of communication in South Africa. I just feel that as a platform, radio shows and radio presenters could have done more by informing the public in regards to what is going on within the Cape Flats. The gang violence in the Cape Flats have been going on for some time now, and this year it looks as if it has reached boiling point. So in my mind, it will only make sense that South Africa's biggest media platform covers the stories that is going on within the area, and that it will give people a platform to express themselves and a chance for their voices to be heard. I know some may argue that radio has given people a platform, but what should have been done is at least one media company should have dedicated their time to helping and raising awareness of the situation in the Cape Flats. I do feel like if this was done, things would be solved and there wouldn't be this much confusion going on right now in the media.
It was focused on the residents. They're very optimistic about how things are going to play out since the deployment of the SANDF has been happening. The TV coverage, it's more, to me, while it focuses more on just informing the country about the fact that the army is going to be there, when they're going to be there, how long they're going to be there. And it's more visual because there's actually videos of the army patrolling within like the communities. And online, it's a lot that's very critical about whether it's really going to make a change. So that's just how I saw the different platforms and how they dealt with the story.
Back on the Cape Flats this week, we asked what difference the army is making to gang violence. We expected to see police and the army everywhere in the hot spots, but they seemed as scarce as parking spots in a busy mall at month end. Residents seemed happy enough that the army was around, but many asked us, where are the arrests? Are they removing guns? And what happens when they leave?
I feel that on a knowing basis, I don't think ENCA was as deeply covering the event as what other social medias were. For example, one of the discussions that they had on the afternoon show was that 2.3 million was going to be deployed for the next 3 months. But then what happens after the 3 months? What's going to happen then after the army has to go back to Joburg or has to go back and combat crime in another area? So I feel like a lot of focus was on they are officially in Cape Town and that they are going to be deployed to these gang-infested areas. But I don't feel that a lot of coverage by this news station was also with regards to what's going to happen after the 3 months are done.